What up, traders? What up, investors? Ken here from Dyslexic Investor, and we're doing another stock live streaming during market hours. So we're going to be looking at basically, again, this is during market hours. We have about 90 minutes left of the trading day. Again, here it's 2:30 Eastern Standard Time here. And the market has been fairly strong in a lot of sections and seeing a lot of movement. A lot of things are kind of crawling back from the dead. We have a couple things that are falling off. Kind of wanted to highlight the Nikola, the Facebook, of course BA, and then Beyond Meat. I'm just rendering out a Boeing BA stock video and some options actions for the 17th. They had some really interesting options actions on buying way out there. Jay Taylor, what's up, man? Fastly, yeah, that thing. How was that came up a lot with the last live stream. Wow, I did okay. So this has been, I think, what I talked about. If you remember, Taylor, that we were looking at again these very fast, high momentum stocks that have been performing so well due to the overall pandemic and everything. It's kind of coming back down to the parabolic SAR. If it starts breaking 75.46, we could be seeing some lower prices, and if it starts closing below the 8 exponential moving average, we could see some further downward prices. As I should get my screen out of the way. You don't want to see the. There we go. Here we go. There we go. All right. So there we go. Sorry. Fastly. So again, we talked about this quite a bit on the live stream just yesterday, and this has been on a lot of people's indications, and a lot of people have been holding this. With again, it's really been running up the 5 and 8 exponential moving average quite substantially. That being said, this is not a crazy downturn. Yes, it's down nearly 10%, but it's not really breaking and triggering anything to a steep downside potential. If it starts breaking below the 74, 75, starts closing around that price range, then it could be potentially going back down to 61. It's just really kind of taking a break right now, and it's kind of just washing out some weak hands, honestly. Are you guys able to hear me and see me okay? Just double checking. Such a quiet day today. A quiet day in the market? I would have disagreed with you there. And yeah, BA has been a rocket for sure. Their rock. It's kind of bouncing back there. Oh, Makeshift, thank you for joining. Glad you're off today. Nice. UBBI. What is that? UBBA. UBBA. I can't. It's not popping up for me. Okay, thank you for confirming. I'm not David. I'm not David. That's funny. That's a great name. AAL. Again, airlines are kind of coming back slightly. Again, this is due to lack of better words. I know I've been saying this kind of on repeat of things just kind of starting to come back. People are willing to travel. Again, we have a lot of looking for potential comeback stories. This has been really beaten up. Again, I'm not the best person to do fundamental analysis on AAL or the airlines, but that being said, they're all kind of the same ship or on the same airplane, lack of better words. This 50-day this is the simple moving average, the 50-day here. That's the 50-day simple moving average. It's kind of coming in for support. It looks like it's trying to build a base to kind of recalibrate and potentially going higher. So that's my 2 cents there. Again, we've kind of came back where we were before this whole liftoff, so I kind of think it's somewhat fairly valued now because I kind of got rid of those really weak hands, aka the Wall Street Bets folks, aka the novice investors who just started trading 2 hours ago and were just buying this up here at the 200. Not saying that I've done this mistake before, but usually those individuals get flushed out really fast, and you can see here with this huge, pretty steep decline, kind of bouncing off the 21, trading sideways, trying to build a base that could potentially go higher, but the parabolic SAR is so far off, not even getting near to kind of give it some uplift. It's kind of failing down. Now potentially things are kind of get quiet down with the overall market. If it continues selling off, again, we could be going down to the prices around $10. As of right now, things are kind of leveling off with the 5 and 8 kind of trading sideways. Potentially, if these start curling up to kind of break above the 21, which would be a nice little fantastic sign there as well. Makeshift nothing. Hey, you live and you learn, right? You live and you learn. I've done so many dumb mistakes we should go through. And the amount of mistakes I've done is completely so. Hello, Florida here. What's up, Florida? It's pretty hot, pretty sure there. Tesla. Yeah, we look at Tesla. Look, Tesla has been wonderful for me today. This has been a nice little thing up. I saw a video on someone. I watched a lot of YouTube videos and looking at what's going on with other people that do trading stuff or things like that, and someone's like, "Oh, Tesla's going back down to 500," and I was gonna comment something, but I normally don't like to create issues. But that being said, I just want to comment. I was like, "Hey, man, just take a look at that 21. That 21 has come in multiple times with this huge uproar in Tesla, kind of for ongoing support." We are still somewhat really trading sideways here. With the parabolic SAR still above us. Again, there aren't any crazy sell signals here. We're just trading sideways. If we start closing below the 21, that's when I would be concerned. As of right now, we're trading sideways, potentially waiting for the next move, which is up or higher, lower, or in circles. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm sure we'll find out. To be completely straightforward, my position is to the long side, so I don't think potential Tesla has a lot of room to run for sure. Dan Robinson, SHLL. What was that up today? I haven't looked at it. Yeah, only up 22%. It basically all-time high. This is what a FOMO trade looks like. Again, I can't honestly add too much commentary on this to you there, Dan, due to the fact that this is just constantly gapping up. The only concern is it's quite, to kind of give you some perspective, we can go look at this chart here, which is, this doesn't even do it justice. So these are basically the standard deviations from the 21 on the daily chart. We are so super extended. This is usually what happens with penny stocks. It's just the momentum is like through the roof. Funds are buying it, people are trading it, every kind of thing, and it just really just goes skyrocketing. And it's just been basically, ever since it's come to people's knowledge, it's just been super extended. Is it fair valued? This is where the two kind of have to meet up on the sense of, is it going to come crashing down? Things just don't continue going up, so just be mindful of that. That's basic stocks 101 and physics in stocks 101. Things just don't continue to grind higher. They need to take a break, they need to slow down, or they can come down. With this one, again, we don't know what's going to happen. No one has a crystal ball, but the amount of momentum is in the stock, and these gap ups, potentially the first level of support really on the way down is $24.70, because that's where that gap fill is. And then after that, the gap fill is basically around here, around $17 to $18. So if things start panicking, people try to rush to the door to collect their profits or whatever else happens, that downside potential is pretty fast, because it ran up pretty fast and it can come down really fast. So that's only my overall position, or I don't have a position, but my viewpoints on that. Play-Doh, did you have something? I think you said something. Yeah, GPS. That's a gap, right? Is that the one who people were asking about the other day? So is this the one where, I think it was someone yesterday too was talking about, this is where Kanye West is selling his stuff? Which is great. Like, I think that's pretty cool. Like, Kanye West is up there selling at the Gap. I'm not a really fashionista, so I don't really know much about fashion about like that. But as you can see here, the upside potential is around, resistance is around 1350 basically. That's again where the 200-day exponential moving average currently resides. That being said, we can look at looking with this potential news, it kind of gapped up fairly high with a really long candlestick and really kind of traded quite a lot of range, basically getting up nearly up to like a little bit past 1450 with a huge amount of volume. This volume is in the stock right now, so this can continue to slowly kind of grinding higher, potentially start seeing that resistance around $14. If things kind of start going to the south side, or it was just a rumor, it can go sideways. But again, with the 5 and 8 exponential moving average has been above the 21 has been great. It's been very strong in that sense. With the RSI and volume oscillator, they're kind of kicking off with the the TTM squeeze here as well, looking for some potential a more significant push higher. Again, no earnings on the horizon. This could be, I wouldn't call it a lifesaver for the company, but I know a lot of retail companies have been struggling. So been kind of keeping it in a tight range. If it starts closing below like 1150 to potentially to 1080-ish, that could be a buying opportunity. But if it starts breaking below the 21, which is around 11-ish, start breaking down to 10, you have to be very careful with that, because the 34 has come in here once or twice for some support, but this is a very large gap up on news, so be mindful of that. No name nude. What kind of indicators are you using? So I have a video that I do on my indications. Basically, I just use what you see here is the TTM squeeze, RSI, volume zone oscillator. Then on some other charts, I use like the MACD or slow stochasticer, and then the moving averages is usually the 200. So these are the EMAs is 200, 5, 8, 21, 34, and then I use a 50 simple moving average, and that's usually the reason why I use the 50 simple, not exponential, is because that's what I consider the generic investor, the average Joe investor uses that. Let's see here. King, what's going on with Roku? I didn't see any news, but the entire day has been just bad. I think a lot of things what's going on here, it's kind of hard to sometimes always tie a story to what's going on. It's just basically the stay-at-home stocks are just kind of just getting nixed or getting canceled due to the overall virus, lack of better words, being canceled in a lot of places, even though you see some numbers in certain states kind of escalating. Again, so we talked about this also on Sunday. Again, that 200-day exponential moving average has been a pretty steep line of resistance. If it starts breaking below this, it's not going to be the world's greatest sign. It can kind of start breaking below it, but it starts closing below it, and then the 5 and 8 start crossing through the 21. We could potentially see some further downside. As of right now, it's down nearly 7.5%. That really sucks for sure. With that being down so significantly, it's like in the short term, your trend change has already happened. If you're a longer term investor, you kind of have to hold it to a little bit longer. If it's closing below the 200-day and some of the moving averages are crossing over, and looks like the volume zone oscillator might go to the negative sign, that could be some indication of some more selling coming in. We did see some support around basically 108, even down to the 100 level here, where we had that kind of that gap up to kind of get this move going in previously. But you can really see if I just draw this little box here, it's in its range. It starts breaking out of this box or going lower. Just be mindful of that. That what could happen. Again, I don't really look at the news. Like, for example, if you're talking about the news, Beyond Meat got double downgraded. Okay, an analyst said, "Oh, we don't. That's not doing that great." I'm like, okay, f that. I'm buying it. I don't listen to what analyst says, due to the fact of they have no really skin in the game, and I'm a kind of a hard-headed person. That being said, again, the 5 and 8 are start crossing to 21. I'm not putting in a full position here. I literally bought a handful of stock basically around the 125 level. Yeah, 125, 126. Yeah, it was 126. What did I buy it at? Bought it at... I bought it at 127.38. So 127, right around this range here. Again, I normally take a size on stock positions, usually depending on the overall movement. I've only bought, I think it was like 5 or 6 shares of this initially for a potential starter position. If it continues going down with the 5 and 8 crossing through the 21 and start cutting through the 34, my next line of potential buying is around 110. Again, I'm building a longer term position in this because I think that this is kind of a new trend that's coming into the market that's going to stay with us for the long haul. So I'm kind of just being mindful of that. And again, that 50-day has come down for support there. Again, if it closes above this, the 50-day, that could be a potential sort of building a base. Even though it has it was down more like almost 10%, even a little more than 10% at the extreme levels. People can panic sell and kind of get out. So there could be another 2 or 3 days of kind of some consolidation in around this range there. Oh, he got paid in. Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't too interested in the news, honestly, on Gap, honestly. Fish, you're probably a very dapper dude, Ken. Thank you. I've never been called a dapper dude, but I love it. Thank you. Found your channel last night, and I just wanted to say thanks for explaining these trends. You're welcome, my friend. A couple other ones I just saw. Play-Doh, you put MGM. So I traded this sucker over when the pandemic came down. I'll do another story time. People like story time. This kind of came down, and it didn't even hit an alert. I was like, someone at work was like, casinos are failing. I just bought some MGM like at $7. Kind of rode it up to like 16. Got out of it. Again, got out a little bit early again, kind of that 200. I didn't think that it would come up to the 200-day that fast. I don't think a lot of things people thought would recover this fast. Kind of come back to this 200-day exponential moving average, kind of failed, kind of just trading sideways, potentially trying to build a base here. Again, this is kind of the base camp starting from this move higher, so we see that gap move here. So around 15-ish to 1650 to 17. We could see some consolidation here. Nothing too crazy about selling indication, things like that. Again, with people's overall opening up the economy and a lot of states going to phase 3, like in Virginia where I live, they're starting phase 3, I believe tomorrow or this week, I don't remember. Phase 3, whatever that means, that a lot of things are going to start opening up more. Rainier, Zemfar, starting in SPY. Sell off? I don't see it. Yeah, the new no animal meat is definitely the new thought process for sure, and I've seen that with a lot of other people that I know. MKL opens pre-orders today, and it went down. Hello. So I don't know if you watched the video I kind of did. I don't wish any company or any people discomfort or anything. This is just a little strange to me. I think someone basically summed it up pretty well on one of my YouTube comments, and I actually gave him praise for it. If I could find it, it was something he said something like, okay, so we have to build 3 different semis, a truck, a water skier, and everything else, but we have no factories and no production or anything yet here in the U.S. So I just thought that was kind of funny, which is those are all facts. Like, they're trying to produce quite a few things. Yes, they have a lot of capital due to the acquisition and everything, but they're really in the early stage. Like, you really have to think of this of like venture capitalism. This could fail. Like, if you're putting your money into this long term, you gotta be very mindful of that. So, and there's a lot of FOMO that's happened here, especially right around the $40 level and things like that. And of course, analysts have come out saying it's completely crap and blah blah blah. We'll see on what happens. Again, I don't wish anyone harm or anything. I just want people to be mindful of that. This is a very speculative company, And with those terms, basically, if I can make those flash red on the screen, this could go to zero, and it could go to $1,000. I don't know. As of right now, I wouldn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. That's my opinion. Scotty D, IPH. Yes, that who was Scotty? Was that you who mentioned that yesterday? I think was that you, Scotty, or someone else who came up with IPHI? So I actually bought a little bit of this position today, a little bit on the down day when it was like down nearly 3.5%. Bought some longer dated calls, longer dated calls in the money around the 100 strike price. Again, for a potential move higher, would love to see around 118 to 120. As of right now, we're 2 days in the squeeze. We had a lot of volume coming in on Friday, which it really didn't do very much. Oh, it wasn't you, Scotty? Okay. Well, someone else brought this up, and I actually bought some this morning on the fact of this beautiful looking chart of consolidation. It's kind of making this rubber band pattern here, where all the moving averages are kind of spinning very closely, wound together here. So this could be a potential pop higher or lower. If it starts breaking below 108, I'm going to have to get out of the position. But I'm risking basically 2 points to the downside and potentially 10 points to the upside. So that's why I usually do my risk analysis. So I want to cut my losses fairly fast, so be mindful if things start breaking down. Starts closing below the 50-day, I kind of want to get out and revisit it if it comes back to the prices where I want to go. Brother Sheets, what's up, man? Joe Rose, I live in DC and I don't think we're going to be open up more. Yeah, I think DC is a little bit more. I live in Northern Virginia. We're not on the same pattern as DC. DC is going to be much more compact, and a lot of people live on top of each other and things like that. I can see things kind of slowly opening up, much slower there. Because I think a lot of things are not even opening up to like September, I heard. Makeshift, I don't trust anyone claiming to be the next Tesla. There's a huge economic disruption in the building. Yeah, we'll see. Again, I don't want to be a negative Nancy on something, but I don't see it. I might need a little bit more water in my eyes or more years around the sun to understand that stock. With Macy's, whoa, it's up 8% today. Hot diggity dog. Are they selling some stores? It looks like they have earnings coming out. Oh, just this week. Okay, so the first, what is that? Wednesday. So Wednesday, if you know anything I do, I don't like to trade earnings, especially this one. Retail has just been literally crushed. Usually, I would like to be on the contrarian side and just buy this, but there's just too much negativity for me on this. Just with my own eyes that I've seen when I go outside for every once a week or something like that. Again, with the 5 and 8 really crossing through the 21 here, kind of slightly building a base here, but with earnings kind of coming out, I think people are going to be sitting on their hands waiting for a potential move higher or lower. So we'll see what happens from there. Let's see what the potential move is for them there. Go back down. So 80 cents plus or minus this week, even for earnings. We'll just call it $1. So if it starts getting a buck higher, which is basically could be clearing the 21. If it starts closing above the 21, potentially could start building a base up there. That would be a great little sign for Macy's, because Macy's been around for, I don't know, hundreds of years, probably 120 years, and they have that beautiful building in New York City. So I hate to see them fall. They have a factory in Germany, and there will be groundbreaking in July for the new factory, for the new U.S. factory. Yeah, I totally agree, Robes. I think the factory in Germany is a manufacturer that they use, right? They use a lot of third-party assets. The company is real, and it's just a lot of hate out there. Disruin Tech always gets the beat down. Yeah, I agree. It's a lot of people don't like change, and people usually just throw tomatoes and apples and harder items at things that they don't like change. For me, as being an investor with money, I wouldn't want. I can't put money into that. Because again, two things. I'm pretty heavily in Tesla, and if it was a speculative trade, I would need to just put money into it when it gets to a certain price and just kind of let it ride. Brother bought some AMD calls since it seemed like it bottomed. Gonna wait to see before I buy more. Yeah, so AMD kind of really hurt me this morning. You saw that we kind of have this box here. It's kind of slightly making a comeback here. The squeeze did fire short, indicating some potential further downside for that. So if it starts closing below, I think it was like 49 for my portfolio. If it starts closing below 49, that could be potential some. I have to take some of the trades off due to kind of unleveraging and getting out of that potential position to kind of see what wait to happens. If this continues going down with the 5 and 8 being pretty aggressive to the downside, the 200-day might have to come in here for some ongoing support. On this one, though, too, I kind of want to look here on the 4-hour chart, and it's kind of broken between the 200-day on the 4-hour chart. So that is also an indication. If this can start bottoming here around the 49 to 50 level, I would really appreciate that from the gods of the stocks. But again, that's not a strategy. For me, a lot of my stuff works from the daily side. So if this starts coming around to the 46 level, this is where if I get out of it. So if this like closes today at 49 and then the following day continues going lower from the previous day, I would have to get out. Even though if it starts coming back down to the 45 or the 44 level, I would have to add that position again if it starts building a base. Does Macy still pay 8% dividend? I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. Ken, what do you think about Ross? Is Ross just Ross? Again, I don't know much about retail. Just an FYI. Yeah, Ross is not coming up there. Make sure. Yeah, I don't know what Ross is. I've been selling lots of their inventory in the stores and usually empty, so they are ordering much more. Really? So you're selling this stuff on Amazon or something? How do you sell their stuff, their clothes on? Any thoughts on sports betting stocks? I'm not totally sold that the leagues are really coming back yet. Honestly, that is a pretty good observation there, Lawrence. My screen's not loading. So this one is story time again. This kind of came back and kind of bit me in the butt with booking. Or it's not booking with DraftKings. Kind of closing below 21. The 34 failed. Got out of the position 60-70% of it. Kind of see what would wait to happen. Let me actually go to the 4-hour chart to give you a better explanation. Thinking that this can kind of hold here, potential base here around 36 or 35 when I got out of it. Majority of it, kind of let a little bit ride to potentially see if I can add back in if it starts coming back down to like 27, 28. Hasn't gotten there. Potentially, again, we're looking at a 4-hour chart, not a daily chart. Because again, this is somewhat of a newer IPO that's only been trading for a very short period of time. Kind of had a huge blow off top here. Call it a double top if you want to call it. Kind of coming back down. I think, again, it can kind of come back to the 29 or 28 potentially. It kind of did come back here with this kind of candlestick over here. Really got rid of a lot of weak hands. I think, again, it can potentially build a base here around 33 to 32 for a potential another uplift. I know that sports betting has been really much put on hold again with not really much going on, right? Sorry, I had to take a drink of water. and with not much going on, so being mindful of that. If you're not in this position, you could take. What I would do is just kind of wait to kind of see how this plays out another couple days or so. It starts kind of leveling off here for a couple days before another shoe drops, potentially going down to 200 there. Makeshift player Ross is ROST. So Ross is like a discount store, right? Where they buy the merchandise from like a Macy's or Banana Republic, whatever the other larger stores are, and they just sell it at a discounted price. Am I right, Makeshift? Yeah, so this one, I kind of want to do a fib here. It looks like it potentially failed here at the 50% retracement. Yeah, so it failed at the 618 actually a little bit. Kind of came through here looking at the 50% retracement around 90 here, so be mindful of that. So that 50% retracement kind of lines up with that 21 here, so around $90. It's kind of building a base here like we just talked about. Oh, let me actually go back to the daily chart, sorry. I was looking at the 4 hour. So $90 is basically right with the 8 exponential moving averages. So you start seeing some consolidation to kind of come up and start closing above the 8. We could be seeing a nice little base building here for another potential push higher. You can kind of see here it failed here, kind of broke out there on the 200-day exponential moving average as well. So I think that, again, I think with people, a lot of retail stores having a lot of issues and probably need to sell a lot of inventory, like Makeshifts have said. What's the other one? Is it TJ Maxx is the other competitor in the place? So TJ Maxx and them would be getting a lot of fresh inventory and a lot of people going into the stores to buy some great merchandise, sounds like it. Oh, you sell them through eBay, nice. Plato SE online shopping in the Southeast Asia. Yeah, this is interesting. Shopping, online shopping. Yeah, this looks really great. Like I've seen this ticker come up quite a bit. It looks like it's kind of consolidating, building that base around that 100 level for a potential push higher. No earnings on the horizon. RSI is somewhat blah. Volume oscillators kind of ticking up. Yeah, so if you want to do like a risk to reward, if it starts breaking below 101 to 100 to 100 for a potential push higher to like 115. Moo says, yo, thoughts on Amazon for long term? Well, I'm going to say yes for Amazon, 100%. I think Amazon is just a great company overall. Of course, every company does some shady stuff and has crazy people in the helm, but they'll get it done, right? Okay, with Amazon, kind of somewhat being down today, kind of broke my box here that I kind of put out. Let me get rid of that now. Looking like at some support here on the 21. Didn't hit it completely directly there at the 26.15, but kind of seeing that there. The parabolic SAR has switched to the top, so we kind of need to hopefully kind of build a base here around the 21 and start getting above that 8 and 5 again. We start seeing the 5 and 8 start crossing lower, pushing the ticks lower, potentially getting around that 21, and those moving averages are crossing through the 21. We could be seeing some further downside potential, potentially to the 34. Momentum has kind of been somewhat blah. RSI has been blah. Volume oscillators at 0. Call it 2.4. But if this is going negative, again, that could continue with the momentum, can kind of make it get to the 21, potentially break it. So be mindful of that. That could be a nice buying opportunity there, because this thing has really just run up. Sneezed excuse me. Sneezed into the microphone there. I think I covered myself there. That being said, we're seeing again that 21 really coming in for support on Amazon there. Are my calls on Lucky Coffee worth anything if it's lists? I'm back on the NASDAQ. I don't know, honestly, on that SSB. I don't know how that works. So is Lucky Coffee completely off the radar now? Yeah, it looks like it's okay. It got delisted, and I don't know if you've been watching my videos, SSB, but I was mindful of telling people of the NASDAQ doesn't mess around, and if you get that letter of you're going to be delisted, it's like a 99% chance that you're going to be delisted. And again, a lot of people were betting that it wouldn't, even though the landlord, aka the landlord of the exchange, is saying, no, you're not coming back. You're being delisted. Some people just thought it would continue and go higher. Being very mindful of that, I think those calls are, I would Google it or talk to your broker, but I think they're just basically just taken care of, because if they get relisted again, I don't know how the paperwork works, so I just don't know. I'm sorry. SPY. You can look at SPY here. You got some sell candles. What chart are you looking at? 'Cause I'm only seeing going up 2 or 3 points here on the futures here. Nothing crazy happening for me here. I just think that we can be trading sideways here for a little bit here with the S&P 500. Again, the 5 and 8 are kind of crossing through the 21, but that 50-day and 200-day is kind of coming for some support. So support around 296 to 297 for the S&P 500. I'm sorry, SSB, man. I hate to break it to you. That sucks. Oh, 1 minute or 5 minute? Yeah, I don't look at those time frames. That's just too much fast movement for me. I can't deal with that. ARKK. What is that? Oh, this is Ark Investment. So this is the group that got really popular when they were talking a lot about their Tesla position and how big it was and things like that. Let's go ahead. This looks like pretty prime for a Fibonacci retracement or a Fibonacci breakdown here. Probably it's going to hit the 6. Yeah. So it looks like, let me go zoom in here. It's kind of looking at the $68. That's kind of where it's trading, 68.20ish, 68.50 today, for potentially kind of a. That's where also the parabolic SAR is. So potentially it starts getting to around the 21. As you can see here, the 21 to 34 in that range here, where you would like to buy it long term. Yes, you might have to be patient for it, but it has kind of come down patiently. If it comes down to 66, 67, you can add a 1/10 of your normal position size, a starter position, whatever that meets your criteria or your trading plan. You can add it there, but be mindful that this could continue going down. Nothing's saying that it's going to come falling or crashing down. That being said, for potential targets, I would say $77.87. That's going to be the next Fibonacci retracement at the 1618 from the previous high to low. So be mindful of that. And the overall resistance here is fairly strong. It's a very strong uptrend here in this stock. It is very steep, but that 21 and 34 has been ongoing support for them going higher. MSFT, yeah, we can look at some Zoom. I ran out of water. This is kind of what's happening today. A lot of the stay-at-home stocks, the internet plays, all the large companies that people were getting into for the work-from-home environment, the pandemic environment. So I made a list for my Patreon folks on some of the, what did I call that thing? I think I called it work-from-home stock list, or work-from-home and pandemic stock list. SSB, we can talk about some BA in a second. We have, but we can look at it again. So all of these basically work from home environments have really kind of gone down today. We can just do the net change. So Ring, Beyond Meat, Zoom, Team, Wayfair, Okta, Adobe, PayPal, Take-Two, Square, Work, Peloton, Etsy's, ATVI. Of course, the other companies are still going up, like Shop, Walmart, Netflix, eBay, and things like that. And CMG has just been monsters, even with just been breaking above that $1,000 ticker. With ZM here, there's nothing crazy too concerning yet. The momentum has kind of stalled here. This could potentially kind of drag it down. We could just be trading sideways here, with the parabolic SAR switching to the top here, and potentially it hasn't really oh my gosh, I'm trying to sneeze into the microphone. I'm sorry, guys. Really come into this 21 exponential moving average here, so it'll be around the $231. Again, it had a fantastic quarter. I don't think Zoom's going to be going anywhere soon, due to the fact that it has just been really ingrained into a lot of different companies, and people love it, honestly, and I don't see a lot of things, the genie being put back in the bottle. Probably heard that expression quite a bit on this ticker. It's really been trading between the 5 and 8 really substantially. Once it starts breaking this, we could get some weak hands out, could be getting some people selling it that have been in it for the last couple months or weeks. If Rainer says, if Zoom breaks 224, in my opinion, 224. So that's, I guess you're going off the previous tick here, or you're talking about, yeah. So this one, yeah, it's hard to, I don't like to short a lot of things. SSB, I really don't understand MZ's. Why is the stock price so high? It just has a great story there. So the story is just been really helping people continue doing business. It's helping students. It's helping loved ones stay in touch. It's just yes, you can call them, you can use FaceTime and all these other Google apps you can use, Android, all these other kind of apps from anything to communicate. But for some reason, Zoom just had the really great story. People got behind it. It's been it's pure video communication play, and the hedge funds and all the funds got into this and just really rode it up. Do I think it's overvalued? Maybe. Could it continue going higher? Sure. I think it can go up to 268 potentially if it creates a base here. But I don't really want to touch it with a 10-foot pole because it just has run up too much for me. It's had some pullbacks to the 21 and 34. So I'm kind of, you can see here I have a price target at around the 207-ish level, 208, for a potential pullback to that price. Do I want to get into that at that price? No. I just kind of want to know what this stock is doing in the terms of the overall market. This is literally the straight stay-at-home, the pandemic virus play here. And this has been a huge run-up with the overall couple months. You can kind of see here, ever since kind of thing, it just kind of took off here. The beginning of February, it's really just been running up that 21 and 34, kind of coming back to the 50-day a couple times. Really just like, oh, it's overvalued, sell it. Okay, it's maybe not. Okay, it's overvalued, sell. Kind of just trading sideways. Had a fantastic run up to the quarter. Continued trading higher. Again, overall price target for myself here is it could hit this 268, but the RSI is kind of failing up here with the volume oscillator also coming down, so we could see potentially 230 in the coming days or even a week, with if the other things start opening back up and things aren't getting up really that bad. And we can also do BA as well. We kind of did that. I have a video coming out around 4:30, I believe, regarding some of the stuff that's going on for BA there. So let's go ahead. Yep, okay, there it loaded. So it has some really interesting options activity on this one. This has been very much a strong play into the overall trend of the Max 8 and 9 being able to come back into production, able to sell it, and of course it being no longer sidelined on the side of the landing strip to potentially start flying again. Is there going to be passengers in there? Probably not, because the airlines are already saying that the passengers really haven't come back and flock, and they're currently restructuring and rerouting a lot of their routes. I forget exactly the number of how many MAX 8 and 9s are currently in the system of flying. I think it's around well over 350 to 370. So once they kind of gets the nod, this thing could really kind of take off potentially. It really had a really interesting move between the 5 and 8 exponential moving average, kind of bouncing off the 21 and really ricocheting higher, up nearly 12%. So when I did the video, it was up like 10%. It's up another 2%, almost 3% again. With another $6 or $7 added to the value here. Potentially, I think it could hit $200 for the initial price target. If the news comes out, I think that could kind of go potentially even higher to like the 215 to even the 220 level here. If we get a lot of momentum behind it, we do kind of have the RSI peaking up with the volume oscillator kind of coming from negative into positive, which could be a really strong sign as well for some more institutional buying. On the weekly side, we kind of wanted to kind of break above the 195 level and close above it. That being said, be mindful that it does have earnings coming out. What day is this? The 22nd. So was that like 3 weeks from now? So be mindful of that as well. I think that's going to be kind of the stars are somewhat aligned here for a potential trying to be pushing higher. But things, again, no crystal ball. Things could fail. So we'll see what happens. Nice at SSB. I got call options at 2:30. What expiration you got? You got the 2:30 call for what? Expiring this Friday or next month? Take another drink of water. Johnny Bravo. I'm a dummy. I've been sitting in the queue. No, you're not a dummy. What do you mean? The queue. There's a queue for the stream? I didn't even know that. I had no idea. Yeah, there's only so many. I have the virus thing where only can have 50% capacity on the stream, so you have to wait until one person leaves. You can join. I'm sorry, that was a bad joke. Alphabet. Yeah, we look at Google. I do the Google with the L. So this is kind of one that I kind of put on my Patreon page looking for a potential higher play. Kind of failed again due to a lot of boycotts with Facebook and just overall advertising on the internet. A lot of companies pulling their ad revenue, kind of just making a political statement, I believe, on this one for sure. I don't know. Like, this one's strange. It's really much in a really tight squeeze. I think that this is definitely an overreaction here to what Google does. Yes, Google is the ad king, like Facebook is kind of the ad queen of things. Well, this is the OG basically of ad revenues online. It kind of broke the 50-day here. Didn't close below it, but now it's kind of coming back from the dead, kind of getting above the 50-day here. That's the little dotted teal line here. So we'll see on what happens there. Potentially looking for some higher prices around the 50-day here. My only concern is that the RSI is flat, the volume oscillator is a little negative, but we kind of want to have this print higher. I'm a little concerned about the squeeze. I would like to see this kind of come back to like the 14.13, 14.15 level for a potential kick higher. If it starts getting up to the 34 or around the 14.20 level and starts closing below that, and kind of hopefully, again, if you're a bull, or I don't know if you're a bull or bear on this one, but for the bull case, we kind of need this kind of consolidate, maybe start writing up this 50-day exponential moving average there, so we can kind of just draw a little wonderful make-believe line there. We kind of want it to we'll make it nice and pretty for it, so it can make a nice fat line too. To kind of trade with this particular moving average there. Again, that's the 50-day, to kind of see if this trend can kind of continue, because you saw Facebook today kind of recover a little bit and continue kind of start trading strong. Oh, it gives you a countdown before it starts. Oh, okay. Shame asks, thoughts on Snap. I'm going to say it's going to be down. Okay, it's been flat. With all the overall very large social media companies really getting their senses shook, getting slapped across the face with a lot of people pulling their ads for whatever reason and things like that, political reasons, videos, whatever. With Snap, this one has been a really high flyer, really made honestly a fantastic recovery from where I thought it was just going to be kind of dead in the water. From what I hear, I don't use any of this social media stuff, so it's somewhat new to me. And I don't think I'll ever use Snapchat, but we'll see. Yeah, I will look at Apple in a second, my friend Rodriguez. So with Snap, we can kind of see here, it's nothing really too crazy. Yes, it had a sell-off from like 25 down to like 23, which is pretty substantial for a $24 stock. Kind of closed a little bit lower, kind of really traded lower today, but kind of start crawling back. So if it starts closing above the 5 and 8 here, it's still in play. Like this momentum is still intact. That can continue going, potentially going sideways for a little bit for another potential to see what the next move happens. If it starts breaking below the 21, which is around 21.50-ish, that's what I would be concerned, because you can kind of see here previously that the 21 has kind of come in for support there on the last couple months. Even though with that huge gap up from the previous earnings, it's just kind of been really holding that 21 and just really riding up to the sky there. So it's hard to get into this stock if you're not in it already. The 21 would maybe be a potential starter position. All right, Apple, AAPL. So we own Apple as well. Slash. Let that load. Apple again. We talk about this one quite a bit. This is basically one of the market leaders that I always look at. One of my go-tos to kind of gauge on what's going on in the market. If usually Apple's down, I would say majority of the market's down, unless it's like a case-by-case thing of Apple's coming out saying that their batteries are blowing up or whatever, or they're using software to lower the battery power of your phone. Then that could be problems there, which is kind of what happened. From the previous swing high to low, we're looking for that 1272 kind of consolidation here around the 360. Looking for a potential price target at 400. Again, that's not really that far off there. With kind of, why does it go? There we go. Really with some support basic around the 346 level. Again, that's where the 21 kind of falls into. It's never really hit it quite substantially there, but we can see it kind of just trading sideways here for potentially building a base, regaining its strength, and potentially another push higher. Yes, it just hit an all-time high less than a week ago at 372, but that was during their their new format for the virus and the pandemic. They're kind of made like this pre-roll video discussing iOS 14, all the other new features and stuff becoming with their products between the watch, iPad, and all the other various things, and it was very successful. No new product announcements, no new iPhone yet, but that's usually could be coming out usually towards the tail end of summertime, potentially early fall. They usually have some kind of special event regarding the new iPhone or things like that. We'll be interested to see what they do with that. Makeshift TLL for a long-term run. Is that Toll Brothers? Toll Bros? Yeah, Toll Bros. So Toll Bros is basically just playing directly on the housing play. So as of right now, it looks like there's a lot of overhead resistance around $33. Again, that's where the 200 exponential moving average is. The squeeze just happened. It kind of fired short. That's where you kind of see that 5 and 8 crossing through the 21, kind of potentially building a base here around the 50-day. there as well. The volume oscillator is kind of beaten down. RSI is somewhat blah, nothing really to report there. But if it starts breaking below that 2850 level on that moving averages, we would kind of need to get out of it. Potentially, if it long term, we can kind of look at here on a weekly side of things. I kind of want to do so long term, do a nice little fib analysis here. You can kind of see here, previously, just about 3 weeks ago, it tried to break above the 200-day exponential moving average, but it kind of failed at that 37.66. That's exactly what the 618 lines up, kind of with the 200-day on the weekly side. So this is going to be a really strong, what am I trying to do? At or above potential resistance. That could be quite some overhead resistance. Again, even exactly at the $33 level, you kind of see some candlesticks kind of failed there just last week. Everything else with the 5 and 8 kind of crisscrossing around the 21 right now on the weekly side. Things look fairly well with the parabolic SAR below. I just think this can kind of just trade sideways potentially until we get some momentum, continue going higher. It looks like it wants to continue going higher, but again, some resistance it needs kind of breakthrough. To the downside, we could be potentially looking at the $26 to $27 level if it continues going lower or something bad happens there. McGruven, what do you think about ACI Albertson stock? Did that finally go public again? So that company's been public like multiple times. Okay, there's nothing crazy bad, like nothing really to add there. Again, it's only been out for a little bit here. On the 4-hour or the 1-hour chart, we're having some resistance here around $16, lack of better words. So really need to break above that. Again, we're talking about a grocery store. We're not talking about like a Spotify or a Tesla here. We're talking about a grocery store. So you have to kind of put it into restraint. Like this is not going to be moving 20-30% on a move because an analyst said things like that. Like they're not going to get a complaint because grandma didn't get a rotisserie chicken. She wanted the garlic butter one, but she got the paprika one. Like we're talking about a grocery store, so be mindful of that. I do love grocery stores. Like that sounds really weird saying that out loud. That being said, I don't know the fundamental value of this. I was in Kroger, so I finally got out of that for profit. That was a really rough ride. To kind of look here at Kroger. Let me go back. Daily. So with Kroger, it's really just bouncing around. The earnings kind of flushed us out nearly. Kind of traded sideways at this box kind of here. Now it's kind of continue going higher with the 5 and 8 kind of getting through. Hit our initial target at 34, got out of it. Just was glad to kind of get done and over with that. So that's my thoughts on there. Make sure player, hey Ken, how often do you rebalance your long-term position? Not very often. By rebalance, I normally just add a lot of things to it, unless something just really gets out of hand. Like Tesla was, I didn't sell any. I actually did sell Tesla. Sorry, I sold Tesla because it got too large in my overall portfolio, and that was after its October earnings of last year, and it got to like 400. I said, I got to sell some of this. Lack of better words, I had no crystal ball at that time, and still don't. That it's it really just took off. Of course, it went up to like $900, and all my shares that I had didn't really do much of anything. Let's see here. I'm not happy with an IPO. No hype. I think it's a sleeper giant through brother. Yeah, I think so. I like it. With a grocery store like Albertson. Because the only one I've never been to one, so it's hard for me to tell you. I think I've been to one when I went to Florida. I liked it. It was nice. I'm in Kroger long. Have been great. Yeah, it's been very fantastic. Tesla will dump again if Elon tweets anything. Yeah, Elon loves his tweeting, doesn't he? Fastly, we kind of did Fastly, so Fastly hasn't really broken below the 8. If the 8 starts breaking lower there, dog, what's it? FSL1. If it starts breaking below this parabolic SAR or the 8 exponential moving average, then when I think we could see some selling going on, a lot of people getting out trying to collect that profit. SHLL, I have nothing to add there. WKHSS, not too familiar with that. Electric vehicles flying, yeah, for sure. It's the new trend. It's a new thing. Hey man, can you give me an analysis on Tesla and all the upcoming events? Let me go rub the crystal ball there real fast, and we can kind of look at Tesla and where it's going to be. That being said, with Tesla, I think rumors saying that they're going to have that their battery day or some kind of special event in September. Again, with my technical analysis on the stock here, it's been holding that 21 very well over the last couple months. It's really kind of just building a base here. You can kind of see it very well with these parabolic purple dots up here. If it starts breaking above that 1,010 level, we could be seeing some higher prices as well to continue moving higher. It's really just kind of in blah blah land and nothing kind of, it's in a holding pattern, lack of better words. Only way to turn off Tesla if you turn off the sun. Yeah, maybe Russia's thinking about that. You think Beyond Meat's going up? Ninja Goat, I do. In the long run, I did buy some stock around the 127 today, just as a starter position. Yeah, battery day got continued pushing back. So initially, the battery day was supposed to happen, I believe, sometime in May or end of April. But of course, it kept on being pushed back. So we'll see what happens. And we'll also see what if you look at any other car company right now, to be completely honest, if you look at GM, like, they're not performing very well. They're well below its 200-day exponential moving average, and they're just not really doing very well. If you look at Ford, even though they're trying to kind of crawl back, they're in the same position. They're well below the 200-day. We're just talking about the stocks. We're not talking about the overall company. We're looking at the stocks of what we're looking at here. With the 200-day kind of failing here with Ford and at GM just kind of grinding lower, because yes, they're able to reopen their factories and things building, but how many people are actually buying a new car? Because the majority of people are just staying home. Like, actually, I don't need a new car, and guess what? My spouse just lost her job, and now I have to get a used car or use the vehicle a little bit longer before we can get that an upgrade or trade it up. Kachi handle. Do you ever mess with a volume profile? What do you mean by volume profile? Sono. Yeah, I love Sonos. I have, is it SO? I have Sonos. I like their speakers. This one looks interesting. Again, this is a great stay-at-home play. Everyone needs really good music at home to be bumping and grinding. But since this kind of came out as an IPO, it's kind of been lackluster, getting really beaten down, even though before the pandemic didn't do very well, kind of slowly kind of crawling back where it was previously to the pandemic. But maybe people are discovering this a little bit more, being at home and really getting a great speaker quality at home for a very, I think, affordable price for a really nice sounding speaker there. Really looking at some potential resistance around the 1550 level there on the upside, but it's been really kind of grinding higher between the 5, 8, and 21, really kind of cutting through that 200-day very well to continue kind of moving higher there as well, with the RSI kind of flat and volume oscillator as well being up there. Is it MWM? What about VRM? I don't know, this one. This is a newer IPO, looks like, as well. I'm actually going to put this on a 4-hour chart. So with swing trading, this is going to be somewhat difficult because there's not really that much data for you out there right now. That being said, you can kind of see here a potential base here. We're going to draw a little box here. Base here, we can call that basically where the 200-day is. It's around 45. It's been trading fairly well here, kind of in around this really tight range between the 5 and 8, and kind of coming down here to the 21 a little bit, and then kind of seeing a push higher here, seeing some long candlesticks, some emotional probably trading here. I can see this continued trading between the 5 and 8 exponential moving average. It starts coming through here, breaking below the 50 with a parabolic SAR as the 21. It starts closing below the 21. We could be seeing some prices around 45. So be mindful of that. Hopefully this is was somewhat helpful for you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Tesla rocketing. Though I love Tesla. Yeah. Casper. Is Casper public again? I thought there was an IPO that kind of failed. Or did the IPO ever go public? I don't remember. Not in the AM, bro. What's up, man? Thanks for joining. So this is kind of one that I've been kind of looking at. Let's look at ones that I've been kind of... where's the... maybe below my alphabets. Look at maybe by... Where did it add? Oh. Looks like Beyond Meat's kind of slowly crawling back. You kind of see my kind of tight parameters there. Trading in around this range. Looking for a potential... could come down again. This is on the 4-hour chart. Could come down to the 119 level. Again, I'm building a longer term position in this as well. So we'll see what goes on there. I think that again that the faux meat or the other meats have just kind of been continue. It's a kind of a people are going to get used to it. People enjoy it. Then things is going to continue going higher. So again, it could come back down to like the 215 to even lower prices, but I think that it can kind of consolidate there. We'll see. I placed a small bet on that. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about, that volume profile. I've seen that before. I think I played around with it. I like the way my charts are set up because they're pleasing to the eyes for me. I get a lot of comments saying there's too many things on there, which if you don't know what you're looking at, it does seem like it. MVM, are you just talking about people not buying any new cars? VRM is all about selling used cars. Thought it might be... Oh, it's about used cars. Okay. I think more people are going to be looking for a bargain. Yeah. I think when it's not high times, it's not the late roaring 20s when everyone's just chroming out their cars and everything. People are going to look for a bargain. Like we talked about that with Ross Stores, TJ Maxx. People are going to be looking for the better used car value instead of just buying brand new. Because again, used cars are just great. Like as soon as you drive your new car off the lot, you're losing 25-30%, even more, I believe, on some cars, their value. Like it's nothing unless I'm just speaking from my own behalf. Like all the cars I've ever bought have been used. Like I don't see a problem with it. Like buy a 1 or 2 year old model, it's basically all the same features and has 10 or 15,000 miles on it, but it's still fine. That's just my opinion, though. So I kind of wanted to show this scanner that I've been working on here. So this is basically a moving average plot scanner looking at the 21 exponential moving average. And the first one that kind of comes up is Delta, some iShare Russell stuff, Modernum, whatever is HL. That looks interesting. What's a $3 stock, though? And I usually just sort by volume to kind of give me some better understanding of what I could potentially be looking for. I normally add other parameters on there on like giving a stock price in between certain things or things like that, or if it has options and things like that. The one that looks interesting on me, so let's look at Delta. It's going to be around the 21 exponential moving average. It's up nearly 7% today. We've got Home Depot. That's around the 21. That's interesting. Let's see what else is on here. Foot Locker. That's interesting. Let's look at Foot Locker. It's a retail shop. Yeah, so it's kind of this is trying to come up to breathe here around the 21 here to kind of pop up here, looking for if it's closing above the 21. We start seeing the 5 and 8 kind of cross higher. This could be a nice little play to the upside. That being said, it's up nearly 8% today, so I don't really. It's going to be hard to buy this and kind of miss the trade here. Really at the support here at the 50-day. So that being said, be very mindful of that there. So let's look at what else we could see on the scan. And this is what I normally do, look for some trade ideas. I always run these different various scans to kind of see on what I could be buying and looking at, and just educating myself on other different things. Let's look at Delta here real fast. I'm interested in what they're seeing, what the overall market just kind of performing, a little blah. You like Foot Locker? Do you sell a lot of their stuff too there on eBay, makeshift? I haven't been to a mall forever though, even before the pandemic. With this one, looks like again it's really close to 21, kind of like holding the 34 and 50 day. If you were a betting man or a betting lady, you could potentially do this for a swing trade. Again, I normally like to do this with some kind of squeeze indication or some other kind of parabolic SER potentially switching to the bottom soon. This is just not right for me. What about cake? I love cake. What kind of cake you got? Cheesecake Factory. Haven't been to one of these suckers in forever either. Didn't they say that they can't pay rent? Did they ever get their money or some kind of loans for cake? I kind of like this. Like, it's been really beaten down. It's honestly a really great experience the couple times that I've been there. The sad thing is they're kind of usually levered to near the malls, and I think the foot traffic is going to be next to nothing. And they're a really huge footprint, aren't they? They're usually like huge establishments, the Cheesecake Factory. Kind of close to the 21 as well. The 5 and 8 are kind of potentially building sideways. Again, this is up 12% today, so I kind of hard to buy any calls on this because it's going to be super pumped up with premium there. Would potentially like to get this at a pullback if it gets down to 21 potentially there. We kind of need the 5 and 8 crossing through the 21 for some higher prices. I think this is just an overall move here. It's hard for me to kind of tell you to buy cake. I want to buy it. They're usually priced. Yeah, that's what. I have an outlet next to me, and I literally just go to the Nike or Adidas or Under Armour or whatever outlet, and I just look at some shoes for like $50. I did just get the Jordan 11 low. Yeah, that sounds like a shoe, and it sounds awesome shoe, but I have no idea what that is. I don't trade shoes. I know about the sneaker culture. I've watched some documentaries about it, but yeah, I don't have anything to add on the sense of people with understanding of sneakers. Bumping and grinding Ken 2020. Yeah, you gotta bump and grind, man. It's going to be an interesting time in the stock market. Let's go ahead and look at S&P 500 here. Nothing too crazy. Kind of still up, just a little blah. Had a nice little strong recovery today. I was hoping it's not a strategy, but if it started to close below the 50 and 200, I kind of see that alert around the 297. Didn't want to see that. It could have hit it, but I didn't want it to continue going higher or going lower. For the bull case, that's where I'm currently in that camp. The 5 and 8 have crossed to the 21, so be mindful of that. Potentially, again, this week being somewhat to see what happens. We could be trending sideways again between the 50 and 34, so that's going to be around your 305 to the 298 potentially on what is shaking and baking in the market. In the closet bear, yes, I did come out with that the other day. I am a closet bear at times, or I can get Normally I'm optimistic on things, but I got pretty closeted. Or I got my bear costume coming out, and on some stocks that I have in the past. Ken, an opinion on buying airline stocks when the vaccine is announced? Yeah, again, the key word, we don't know when, right? That's going to be a nice trade for sure. I don't think it's going to really get because it's still like, once it's announced, yeah, it's great, but now we have to give it to everyone. And are there going to be a group of people who don't want it, like, because it's going to control their brain or something? I don't know what they think. Basically, I think a lot of things are going to move if that comes out. I don't think airlines are going to benefit from it. I think a lot of other things are going to benefit from it more. I think I would maybe look at hotels rather than airlines, and I would honestly look at something like a Disney. Like, I own Disney for my portfolio long term, and this has kind of just been treading water. It's been kind of coming up the 200-day, failing, coming back down. They're really just waiting on to really, because getting at what's the biggest thing for once the vaccine and everything comes out is entertainment. Like you can look at a Live Nation stock, so they're going to be able to have large concerts again. That's not going to be a lot of overhead. That's going to be a huge market that's completely shut down right now. Airlines are still running, but a lot of those live event venues are shut down. Sports events are completely shut down. And this is all kind of in the group of Disney. So they have huge parks around the world that are limited on their capacity. They own cruise line stocks. They own a cruise line that's really doing not that fantastic as well. And of course, they have no sports going on with ESPN. So I really believe that this is. I've been buying this, kind of slightly building a base here. We kind of broke the 50-day here at 110. We added a couple more shares to the portfolio as well. There again, this is the continue trading sideways a little bit here. Potentially, we're kind of coming back where it was basically the beginning of May. Kind of had that huge gap up with a lot of stocks that you've seen had a huge gap up sometime in mid-May or late May, and kind of broke above the 200 and kind of came right back down. Kind of that's where we're trading at with a lot of stocks as of right now. So if you had to choose on where I would like to put my money in, it's going to be Disney. Yeah, I'll take shoes because they are like stocks. They appreciate. Well, nice. Ken, it's 2020. You don't need to be closeted. That's funny. Keep an eye on Disney. Yes, Disney. But so I think, don't quote me on it, I think it's like 35% of their business is, or I think it's like 25 to 30%. I can Google this real fast. Of their business is basically the parks, and then 25% is like movies and that kind of stuff. The cruise lines is a much smaller fraction of the pie, but sports, ESPN is huge. Like, I think people are getting kind of sick of watching the 1987 reruns of the World Series or whatever kind of games and matches. So be mindful of that. So I think this is my sleeper for sure. But again, to be mindful, this has been a position in my portfolio forever. Basically since like $80-ish or something like that, maybe even lower. Let's look at, bought it around, right around this area here. It was towards the beginning of 15 where I bought it. Then I sort of run up and kind of been holding it ever since then. Yeah, it's been a very interesting ride for sure within this market. Oopsies. I want to go back to the weekly here. Let's see on how the futures are doing here. We can kind of go down on the crazy time frame to kind of see what's happening here. We are having a squeeze set up here on the 15-minute chart, which could be a potential pop higher or lower again. This is, again, looking at a 15-minute chart, usually not my favorite cup of tea. And normally with the last 30 minutes, especially the last hour of trading, you see a lot of volume coming in. That's the volume down here. I'm not really seeing substantially a lot of volume coming in here because, again, this is considered somewhat of a light week, and usually there's not many shakers and bakers here, even though starting like probably Wednesday, a lot of people are going to be kind of just signing off and just putting things in cruise control for the long weekend again, because we only have 4 trading days today within the equities, and I believe futures are open just slightly on Friday. I'm not 100% sure on that, but be mindful of that. Again, with a very short week coming ahead, there's going to be a lot of different things going on with the lackluster volume and kind of people coming back for a potential kick higher. So with the ES there, let's see, let me look over here 1 second. What do I have here? Nothing really much to add there. Looks like it's trying to push higher. So I can be a little funny dude, and let's do this. We're going to buy, let's see what happens. 170, 65. This squeeze is kind of indication we're going to lower. The 5 and 8 is starting to kind of cross to the 21. Potentially this could pop up into the end of the day. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Again, I don't really want to trade this because I normally get a little too emotional regarding short-term trades. David, what do you think about FLIR? Let me look at that one for you. So it looks like it's whatever happened here. It's kind of hit the 200-day a couple weeks ago. Kind of really bounced around. Didn't get the enough momentum to continue going higher. Kind of failed there a little bit. The 5 and 8 crossed to the 21. Kind of bounced around the 50-day a little bit. Failed there. Kind of with the 5 and 8. Continue going lower, pushing that momentum lower. With the volume as well. Oscillator going more negative, more and more negative. RSI just kind of not want to go to the oversold, but it's just kind of been somewhat stagnant down here. Again, with the moving averages really kind of pushing this lower between the 5 and 8 exponential moving average, with the parabolic SAR still above. For this to go to the long side, you want to see it start breaking above 41.75 with the parabolic SAR switching to the bottom of the chart. For the downside, we just kind of need to see the 5 and 8 continue to go south. It looks like it's trying to build a very short-term base. The TTM squeeze has switched from red to white, red to yellow. Potentially could be a slight building base, but again, not sure what this company does, so we'll see what happens. But the overall momentum is still somewhat to the downside to flat. It really needs to prove itself that if it wants to break out of this trend to potentially go higher. Rock, do you think we're going to get a massive dip this week? Rock, I don't have a crystal ball, but anything can happen. As of right now, I don't see a dip. No. Makeshift player shop is the beast. What is it going to stop? Yeah, the thing, it is a beast. So right now it looks like it's just kind of trading sideways here. Again, that 5 and 8 exponential moving average is being those very high, looking for those 5 and 8 exponential moving average really just propelling this higher. It hit looks like an all-time high like a week ago at 928. It's really going to be pretty highly triggered to try to break the 950 level. I have a 940 target initially for the short term. Again, even though today, with a lot of other retails and kind of the pandemic stocks kind of going down, Shopify is still going higher. So it's just a great sign. This just has so much momentum behind it, and just been performing very well. If this starts closing below like the 884, potentially down to 833, that's going to be somewhat concerning. Even it kind of has this kind of trading sideways a couple weeks ago here. and just really got enough energy to potentially push higher. So we could just kind of be trading sideways up here for potentially for the 34 and the 21 moving average to kind of catch up with the overall ticks for another push higher to break 1,000. Seth, SHLL, yeah, we kind of talked about that just slightly. I have nothing to really to add there. This thing has just been a 100% FOMO momentum stock. It's been really literally off the charts within all the parameters that I use for trading, so it's basically an unknown territory for me, so I won't be able to add too much commentary on it, just to be very mindful that it's a very speculative play. A lot of ill-advised money is in this stock for sure with these trading of this, and potentially the shoe drops or any sign or creak in this floor here, it could really come crumbling down potentially really fast. JB, sorry. ZM August 25 30 had calls. Yeah, we could look at that one. We looked at ZM. Got about 5 minutes left of market trading hours here. You said look at this one. You guys see this? Someone around what is that? 230ish bought. Is this the one you're talking about? August 21. It looks like this one. Like this is an August 21. It's at, you said 250. August 21, 300 had okay. Spotify is overvalued dog shit. Well, that you're value to your own opinion. So this one is interesting. So this is you said I'm sorry, who was the one, Seth? No, JP. ZM August 21, 300 call. Oh wait, is it 300 or had 400 calls bought the 300 strike price? It looks, this one is really popping off me here. Is this potentially someone buying 5.4 million here for Zoom for in August the 20th, the 250 call. So that is an interesting one there for sure. So I'm not seeing anything else correlating with this. Like it could be like a spread or something, because I'm not seeing the same amount of volume or the same amount of quantities on the other thing. So like for example, this one here, or we can kind of match up. There's something 190. Yeah, usually if they do like a spread or some kind of different analysis in the sense of some kind of vertical or spread plays, or even like a strangle or straddle, you start seeing the same call and put amount of quantity. But this looks like a straight play. It's the 54 delta. So again, it's the 250 price target, and it's trading right around at the money. This is a very particular bullish bet. Again, the stock being down quite a bit here today. Again, really kind of not being dragged down too much due to the fact of the 5 and 8 kind of just really been holding pattern and potentially just trading sideways. Yeah, that's a lot of money, isn't it? 5.4 million. I made 2.6% on space, and that is what it called in the day. Nice. I love space as well. I have some long-term options in space. That's the Virgin Galactic stuff. I love anything to do with space. Zoom is very interesting for me here. That's a very interesting, very bullish trade. Again, to be honest, to kind of look at this again, that is a pretty substantial position for that particular ticker. And it came at a very strange time. Usually don't add too much weight to it. This is usually a large hedge fund or a trading firm that wants to put this play out here. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. That's a really interesting play. Might need to do a profile video on that one, right, folks? About a couple more seconds left, about 35 seconds here into trading hours, and we're probably just going to call it a day there if anyone has any more tickers there as well. I hope everyone has a fantastic evening. I do have a video coming out in, I believe, 30 minutes or so regarding the some BA call options that we saw some activity in. Again, due to the insinuation of it being up quite substantially today. So BA up was how much today? Okay, nearly 15%. So when we did the video, or I did the video, was at nearly 10%, and that was in like early afternoon. Oh, there's the bell. It just really wakes you up with that bell, right? Tesla, check out. Yeah, look, what did I tell you? It broke that parabolic SAR. That I want to see. This is what I'm talking about. Someone probably placed a large bet. Like, look at this. This is the volume that we're talking about. So the last 30 minutes, a huge amount of volume came in on Tesla, and it just literally just brought it up higher. Tesla really just took off here. Again, we can kind of look here at some activity here on trades. Some potential large trades. We can kind of see what comes in here. Most of the times people probably would just be buying the stock outright, because looking at some of the larger forms here, there's nothing too much popping here in the last 15-20 minutes. Looks like someone bought, looks like someone sold that actually, because it's a very low delta, and not really too much time left. Potentially the 11:20 call for the second. So this week, yeah, that's could be seeing some really interesting activity and some puts here as well. But yeah, Tesla's definitely making some big plays. We had some really interesting activity here. It looks like someone is selling a lot of these. So these are just people are selling premium. So the delta is so low. So if the delta is like above like 50 to, if it's above like 45 to 50, usually people are buying it. And if it's below that price target or below that delta, people are usually selling it. So it looks like all of these are just people selling it and collecting that various premium from all these different stocks, from the different strike prices. Yeah, that's been a really nice, fantastic looking chart here with Tesla really coming in basically around 3 o'clock, around 9:86, and literally just, this could have been really much like a short squeeze, honestly. And a lot of people who had it short on Friday needed to get out of the position. It's just been going too much against them, basically being up a little over 5% today, really breaking that $110 level, which we were looking for just a couple minutes ago. So yeah. Panda dude bought FB puts 170. Really? Okay, we can look at that. So to be fully responsible, I'm actually long Facebook. So 178. You're looking all the way down here. So you think in, what is that, 18 days that we're going to hit 170? So we can look here at the trading tab on Facebook, 18 days away. We're saying plus or minus $20. So plus or minus $20, what we're looking at is basically to 200. So you're saying it's going to be an exponential move of a deviation of 2 or higher. So a standard deviation of 2, looking again to around that 180 to 170 price target. Again, I'm not saying anything can happen, but that's a very interesting bet, and I hope, yeah, we'll see what happens. Like, again, I'm long Tesla, or long Tesla as well, but long Facebook on the dip here. Basically bought around 215, kind of came back pretty strong today. Looking to see what happens from there. Anthony, sup? Give me shout out. Go down more. Give you a shout out for what? Did you put a ticker out there, Garcia? All right, guys, I think we're going to call it here. I'm going to go get some physical activity and some sunlight. Really do appreciate everyone coming out. We potentially could do another live stream tomorrow if people want to do so. Again, during live trading hours, I really enjoy doing these and informing and educating folks about stocks and just having fun chatting with everyone. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe down below, and I'll hopefully see you on the next live stream or in the Discord server. All right, peace.